Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stock Martin channel. I have an awesome interview video today with the CEO, David Michery from the Mullen Automotive. And before you watch it in its entirety with Benzinga, use the links down below right now, running great promotions with Mumu. You can get one free Lucid Motors stock, 5 free stocks valued up to $12,500. In addition to using Webull down below, put in 1 penny into a brand new account, you get 6 free stocks. But now take a look at this interview with the CEO from Mullen Automotive in Benzinga in its entirety, and have a great day. Thank you.
Let's bring on the CEO of Mullen Automotive, David Michery. David, there he is.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I know it's early for you, so thank you so much for joining us at like 8 in the morning.
Absolutely.
Okay, David, I just spent the last 2 minutes listening to questions from the chat, and we have a lot of them, and we're not going to get to all of them, so let's just move quick. The first thing I want to start off with, the news from, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, a couple of days ago now, the update about the battery technology. Explain that and what that means.
Okay, I'm going to try not to rehash the same old story, but we got very favorable test results. We wanted to retest our battery. We hired one of the most reputable groups in the United States. They tested our solid-state polymer battery, and it exceeded our rated amperage and voltage as stated previously in previous reports and releases. And it's a good feeling to know that our battery has exceeded any expectation that we've had for that cell. So we're very excited.
So what does this mean going forward, though, for the actual technology here?
Well, it means we can start to scale it, and that's exactly what we're doing. We announced not too long ago that we're going to take it to the vehicle pack level, and we're doing that.
All right, David, one of the most frequently asked questions in the chat this morning, in my DMs last night, somebody even may have emailed me saying, ask about Fortune 500. Now, when you were on with me, I think it was actually March. It may have been about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. You did say you had that order from a Fortune 500 company. What else can you say? Because when I asked you to elaborate, you were very coy about it. But what else can you say about that order? Can you say who it's from? Can you say how big it is? Can you say when it's for?
Well, as I stated in our previous conversation, it's a pilot program. And I can say that we initiated that program, meaning we made the delivery on May 12th. Oh. And the customer has put the van into its pilot program. And the customer has reported to us that they are pleased with the performance to date, and we expect to share details of the pilot program with our investors in the coming weeks. So we're pretty excited about it. So everything's moving along exactly as planned.
I didn't expect that answer. I'll be honest with you. But we are going to find out one of these days or one of these weeks who this company, this mystery company is, and what the nature of their order is.
Absolutely. We're actually working on the PR with them as we speak.
All right. Then I guess it's still wait and see mode. Let me ask you about that announcement. Will that announcement have details about the size of their order and the orders versus delivery timeline?
Everything will be in that PR. We're pretty excited about it. We've been working on this for over a year. Okay, this is not something that just transpired overnight. This has been a very long time in the making. We want to do this right, and we have their cooperation, and they're very excited. Again, we started. I can officially tell you that we started the pilot program on May 12th.
So you delivered the first. Can you say, how many cars did you deliver? How many vehicles did you deliver?
I can tell you that we started the pilot program on May 12th. And so far, the results back from them are very good.
Okay. Are we talking like end of the month here, or at some like in June is when we're gonna get this PR? Or are we talking like next week, or like what's the timeline here?
We made a statement that we would announce this by the end or within the completion of the second quarter, and we fully intend on doing that.
All right. Second quarter is coming to a close here soon. So, all right, we'll have to look forward.
That's
Well,
absolutely right.
yeah, I too can read a calendar, David. All right. So, okay, I think that's kind of the elephant in the room here. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see about that. Um, what about? Are there any other orders you can talk about, like for the van for Q2? We had a lot of questions about that.
I can. I do want to add one thing that I think is very important. A couple of very substantive things that have happened recently because of our amazing test results on the battery. Earlier this week, we've started negotiations with a couple of major OEMs regarding our battery technology, and we've commenced preliminary discussions with these parties. So that I thought, was a good piece of information that we could share.
I appreciate that. What about the status of this ATVM loan? I believe you had applied for it end of April.
Yeah, April 29th
Um,
to be exact.
right, right. Has that been approved? What is the status of
Oh,
that?
no,
Is there?
it's a process. I don't expect to hear back from them until August is when I expect to hear something.
Okay, okay. Um, I take it that you expect to be approved for the loan.
Well, again, look, I don't have a crystal ball.
Oh,
There's a lot of factors.
yeah,
Again, there's a process that you got to go through. You try to have, you submit your application. You hope that you can get to what they call substantially complete. And then from substantially complete, you go to a conditional commitment. And usually that can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. And that's just that's the process. I mean,
right.
it's the process.
Okay, and I'm gonna go back and forth between kind of my own notes and the chat here because the chat is on fire right now. Going back to the battery for a second, this is an interesting question we had earlier from the chat. What conversations have been had, or is it at all possible for Mullen to sell your battery technology to other manufacturers down the line?
I thought I just a couple of minutes ago stated that because of our impressive test results, we are now in discussions with a couple of major OEMs.
Okay, you're right. You did.
Yeah,
You did say that.
yeah, we've started preliminary discussions with these
My bad.
parties. Stay tuned; it's going to be pretty
You
good.
did say that. You did say that. Wow, I just had a major brain fart there.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm not even going to look at the chat. The chat's going to eviscerate me for that. So I'm not
Look,
even going to look at the chat right now.
I'm tired. Myself. I've been working timelessly over the last 24 hours on a significant transaction. However, we don't comment on rumors or speculation at this point. I can tell you that something very impressive is coming down the pipe. Now, we can't guarantee that a transaction will occur, but a lot of good things are happening here, all at the same time. So we've been very active, and I'm very tired.
Hey, man, it's the story of my
We're
life.
putting in 20-hour days.
I do want to ask you, David, just about the insider activity here in the company. Obviously, you can't speak to other people; you can only really speak to yourself. But when I look at the insider transactions from Mullen, I don't see a lot of buying. I do see some selling from you recently. Can you just speak a little bit to the thought process there?
Just decided to sell some stock, nothing more and nothing less.
Are there plans to sell more? Is that part of
I mean, every officer or director has an opportunity to sell based on the 1% rule per quarter. And, if they choose to do it, they do. If they don't, they don't. And, I chose, periodically to be able to take advantage of what I'm allowed to do under, SEC rules.
Was that part of a pre-planned sale? A 5B1?
No.
No. Okay. All right. I just wanted to address that because there was a lot of questions from the chat. Also, just looking at recent activity in with the company and the stock, and you did just do some dilution and raise some money that way. Are you comfortable with the balance sheet as it sits right now, the cash position, the ability? Because obviously you're going to need to reinvest a lot of cash here. Are you comfortable there?
Well, I'm comfortable that we have enough cash to get us through 2022, as stated previously. Our plan does call for a $1.3 billion spend, which is half as much as most of these guys will spend to get to a
Right.
start of production. We believe that our plan is the most efficient. We have the advantage of having a facility already. And if we obviously, the way that most companies in our position today raise capital, obviously, is through the sale of their security. And that's the reason for being public. Will we raise additional capital? We have to, just like everybody else has to. I mean, Tesla has to, and then they're a $800 billion market cap company. So, of course, but as time goes on, as your stock strengthens, you can make better deals. Each deal will be better than the next deal, but it's a part of being able to execute on your plan. One of the concerns that a lot of the investors had in the past, and looking at our balance sheet, well, how are they going to fund, this plan? Well, obviously now there's a solution for us as we get more activity, as the company delivers product, as the company expands its operations. So will the ability to raise additional capital at more favorable rates and execute on its plan. Ultimately, our plan is the most efficient plan out there.
How do you explain to the outsider here, like, how your ability to spend at such a reduced rate compared to the QuantumScapes and the other EV manufacturers of the world? Like, how really is that possible for you just to spend a fraction of what everyone else is spending?
Well, it's been like that for us from the inception of this company, meaning you can only spend what you have. So you try to be, frugal. We pride ourselves in being fiscally responsible. We don't overspend. Everyone here does multiple tasks. We have top-rated people that that come from startup backgrounds, like John Taylor, who's one of the guys that one of the first 50 guys that came over from Detroit with Elon Musk to Fremont and built the entire architecture for Fremont, as well as the architecture for the Model S. And these guys had to be efficient. They had a small little crew, and look at what they were able to accomplish. So one of the things you learn is you learn to be fiscally responsible. You don't waste money, and you stretch every dollar, not a mile, you stretch it 100 miles. You try to maximize as much efficiency as you can possibly. Also, that includes how you approach your build and your spend. So from our perspective, it doesn't matter if we had $100 billion or if we had $100 million, we're going to take the same attitude and we're going to be fiscally responsible.
I like what you said before. You can only spend what you have, which is true. Okay, so I'm going back to my list here. I have so many quotes. My notes are all over the place, man. So I apologize for sort of jumping around here. There was a few questions in the chat still that I wanted to get to. One of them I thought was very interesting. I did not plan to ask you this. Is not a question I really would have thought to ask you, but I thought it was more of a meta question. And the question was, how do you view your investors? Well, in other words, like, what does it mean to you for someone else to invest in Mullen and to own Mullen stock?
Well, there's no mystery that we're highly held by the retail community out there. I think we're in the top 4 of retail held stocks out there. So yeah, their opinion matters. I periodically look to see what these retail investors look at, what they want to see, and we try to address as much as we can within the confinements of the law. Again, there's insider rules, there's information rules, there's things that obviously, as a CEO of a publicly traded company, you have to be careful. And in instances where maybe something was not portrayed correctly by a third party, and you would love to jump in there and address it. Sometimes you can't because you don't want to subject yourself to any potential SEC violations. So you got to learn to. Some people find it very difficult to do, but you got to sometimes button that mouth. So, and you don't want to, create a situation for you and your shareholders. The idea here is to build value for our shareholders, to get out there and spend efficiently, execute on the plan, deliver when you say you're going to deliver, and hope that the market, rewards you by showing, value and the appreciation of your market cap and your volume and your stock price. And these are the things of being a public company that you have to, shoot for.
Yeah, that's sort of like the line that every CEO sort of has to walk, right? Is I feel like wanting to engage, but also not say things that you can't say. I want to ask you just overall about the macro environment here. We just had a headline, really the dominant headline of the day, really for the overall markets and the business world is, Elon Musk has said that he wants to cut about 10% of Tesla's workforce. Obviously, there are concerns about global supply chain still, and money is getting more expensive to borrow. And there are several macro headwinds that everyone is facing, and that's not unique to, and that affects you as well. So does the changing macro environment, the continued disruption of supply chains, whether it's rates going higher, money getting more expensive, how does that impact you? Does that concern you at all?
Can't impact us more than it already has. I mean,
Okay.
we operate on a fine line. Again, we always think out of the box, and we always think about what if. So we're always addressing supply chain issues. We're looking at ways to, ensure that we're not going to have any stoppages. As far as employees, we're not really worried about that. we're a small company. We probably have, I don't know, less than a couple hundred people working for us, but they do the job of 1,000. I mean, we got people, as I stated earlier, that do multiple tasks. No one gets employed here unless they're willing to work as hard as I work.
Thank you for that response, by the way, because I think certainly a lot of CEOs have come out in the last few weeks and sort of try to point the finger at the broader economy, and blame that for their problems. And maybe they're right, maybe they're not. But I appreciate you sort of addressing that, because it's an easy excuse for every CEO. Oh, it's supply chain. It's rates are going. It's the economy, right? But that applies to everyone pretty equally here. So, going back to the chat there, this was a good question from the who just asked this question. It was about the battery. And does the battery update from a few days ago, does that translate to greater mileage or a faster charging time? I can't find the question now, so I apologize, but it was from Chris.
Yeah, it translates to both, meaning the amount of cells that we would put into a pack to get to 150 kilowatt hour equivalent, and the amount of time to charge or discharge, that cell. So it's, for us, it's about efficiency, right? In every corner, we're trying to reduce the cost and trying to increase the efficiency. So if we can accomplish that, then I think that we're on our way to a very successful battery undertaking.
What about other applications for the battery tech outside of vehicles? Talking about phones.
Sure. I mean, look, a cell can scale up or down.
Right.
We're going to scale up to the vehicle pack level. Sure. If look, we plan on sharing our technology with everybody, right? Cell phones are not out of the question. Power tools. I mean, anybody that needs a really good, reliable, and safe cell, we're your man.
All right. I guess we'll have to wait and see for more announcements about that. Which I think would keep people on their toes for sure. One thing I wanted to address, and I meant to get to it by now, but I didn't, which is the Hindenburg short report from a couple of months ago now. I'm sure you saw that. Do you have a response to the claims made in that report? And just what do you say? Not so much to Hindenburg per se, but to any short or any bear really out there.
Results will speak for themselves. We will continue with our plan, and the results that we publish, I believe, should address anyone's concerns.
To your eyes, did you see any inaccuracies in that report?
I really don't comment on
Okay.
on stuff that really is not relevant to me. I mean, if I did that, I'd spend the rest of my life answering, every person's question that either really isn't intelligent enough to understand what we're doing or is malicious in intent. So, from my perspective, I focus, on the plan. We have a very cohesive plan. We're going to get out there. We're going to execute. And when we execute, we're going to put out information as we are required to. And that information will either corroborate what we're doing or not. But
why do you suspect that your company has people so riled up? Really, on the bullish side and on the bearish side too. You have people very riled up. Why do you think that is?
Mullen's a disruptive company. Mullen has, from the inception of the company, has always been different. You got to remember, we just didn't, wake up, a year ago and decided we were going to take a crayon and a piece of paper and draw a car and go get a SPAC and become public. We took the hard way out, right? And we wanted to be different, and we developed our brand. We have expertise in being able to service a vehicle, to sell a vehicle. We know what it takes to handle recalls. People forget that we had a fully homologated a DOT certified vehicle, the Coda sedan that we took over. And we had that car in circulation and sold cars and did all the things required. We still offer support and service for over 1,000 cars that are on the road. So again, like I said, hey, it comes down to you let the talkers talk and you let the doers do. And at the end of the day, we'll see who's at the finish line.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Just as we wrap it up here, David, we talked earlier about the upcoming announcement for the Fortune 500 company. You said end of Q2 for that. What other details can you give us about timelines for announcements, whether they're announcements related to the Monrovia facility, the announcements related to the 500 company? We already talked about that, but other upcoming announcements. Can you give us timelines on that?
Plenty. Again, we'll share that information in the public forum, and we plan on having many releases. And we're excited because we're very active. We're engaging with everybody. And recently, again, as I've stated earlier, a couple of pretty big OEMs are very impressed with our battery results. So much so, I'm talking at the CEO level at some of these OEMs that want to sit down and talk about doing deals. So we're open to it. Listen, as I stated earlier, we're willing to share the technology. I want to be like Bluetooth, license it to everybody.
I would presume that the sales cycles at these OEMs is like a years long thing. Is that in other words, it will probably be a while.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I would say that in the conversations, again, I've been working feverishly on this, and along with a major transaction that is happening all at the same time. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. As when I told you I'm working 20-hour days, I'm working 20-hour days. So a lot of good stuff happening, more so than ever in the history of this company. And I think you're looking at a what's the term? I like sports, and I always like to use comparisons to sports. And one of the things that stuck with me was the Washington Nationals, a baseball team that went into the playoffs. Really, nobody knew who they were. I mean, they knew who they were, but no one had any expectations of anything. And these guys systematically went to the World Series and won the World Series and had everybody's head spinning, wondering how the hell did they do this? Well, I like to think we're that guy. Got to remember where we started. We came out, small market cap. People really didn't say much about us, kind of ignored us, and we systematically have progressed forward. And in a short window, we're now larger than some of the guys that had market caps in the $2 and $3 billion, $2 and $3 billion market cap range, and now these guys are down in the $300 and $400 million range. And look at us, right? Again, I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just telling you, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And we plan on being at that finish line. We'll see who else can join us there.
All right, David Michery, the CEO of Mullen Automotive. I'm not even going to give you guys the ticker. It's on the screen, but you all know the ticker, right? So, David, I appreciate you waking up early with us, and have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and good luck.
Well, thank you.
And I'm looking forward to seeing these announcements soon.
We'll be back again with you. I promise.
Okay. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.